Andrew Wheeler worked very closely with President Trump and his Environmental Protection Agency, and he joins us tonight. Sir, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on this evening.
Yeah, sure. So are they dumb enough to shut down this Line 5? I mean, it's a pipeline nobody's even, I've never even heard of it. Could they possibly do this?
I certainly hope not. You mentioned the barrels. We get 22 million gallons every single day from that pipeline. And if that pipeline were to be shut down, we would have to use 2,100 trucks a day to bring in that same amount from Canada to the United States, when we can't even get enough trucks to the West Coast to unload the container ships that are sitting off the California coast. It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
This administration,
right?
I mean,
for a multitude
this administration, absolutely not. And what they have done is they've limited access for producers here in the United States. They're shutting down ANWR. They're shutting down federal drilling on federal lands. They're increasing regulations to make it harder and more expensive to access our energy. They've actually included a new tax on a barrel of oil in the reconciliation bill that's currently pending in the House of Representatives. And now they're talking about shutting down another pipeline. This will be the second major pipeline this year, while they're allowing the Nord Stream 2 to go forward for Russia.
Right.
And Russia produces their fuel much more dirty than anything that we do here in the United States.
Try to make sense.
The gold standard.
Try to make sense of this energy policy for us, because like you just said, we're endorsing pipelines on the other side of the world while shutting down our own pipelines here. We shut down our pipelines here, which means we burn more energy to move oil. The oil still comes. You just have to put it in trucks and on trains instead of through a nice pipeline, which has no emissions at all. You want to use our reserves, but you don't want to tap any more oil from this country from underground. Nothing makes any sense. Everything contradicts everything else. It's all idiocy.
Their long-term goal is to bring up the price of fossil fuels, to make it harder on Americans to use fossil fuels. They want to force people to use renewables. I'm all for renewables, but I'm for a free market, and I think people should be able to pick and choose what type of fuel they want to use, what type of automobile they want to have, if it's an EV or a gas-fired car. But they're artificially trying to drive up the price of fossil fuels. Their problem is it's going up a lot faster than they had hoped. They had hoped to get past next year's election.
And they're driving the prices up. They're driving the prices up while at the same time trying to bring the prices down. And that's what I think is just aggravating everybody so much. And like you said, I have no problem with renewables. I would love to have solar panels on my house. I'd love to not spend all that money on heat and on air conditioning every year. I'd love it if my car, ran off of, whatever, sunlight or anything else. Although I don't really think a battery is going to make much of a difference as far as environmentally. But I think those are all fine things. But like you said, it should be done. They need to earn their place in the market. When you have the government picking winners and losers, that's not right.
When they pick winners and losers, the American public loses, and we are losing. These prices we have right now are created by this administration. It is not something, it's not the normal ebb and flow of fuel availability, as what the Secretary of Energy alluded to. Last week you played the clip where she laughed about trying to bring down the price, and she said it was up to OPEC. It's not up to OPEC. No. We have the capacity to produce the fuels here in the United States in a much cleaner fashion than OPEC does. When we produce the natural gas or oil here, it is much cleaner than anything that we would import from OPEC countries.
Yeah, well said. Andrew Wheeler, former EPA under President Trump. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. All right.